Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today, let's talk, is The Walking Dead worth watching again? Recently, I did a video, Everything I Hate About The Walking Dead. It was about a 20-minute video, give or take. I forget if it was like 20 minutes or 25 minutes, something like that. But it was around a 20-minute video. I know I got a reaction from some fans that were just bewildered. Why would you make a video? Da 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 da. It was a requested video because we're always talking about the show because it's our favorite show. So fans were curious, well, if you love it so much, what do you not like about it? And some fans were shocked. It was as if you point out the flaws, other people will stop watching it because you're like, oh, it's not a perfect show. I look at The Walking Dead and I know I can point out the flaws without worrying at all. You know what I mean? Because this is a great show. I am fully confident this show can handle its criticisms. I went back and started watching because I wanted to do a video now to balance this out. I wanted to do everything I love about The Walking Dead. So I went back and started watching special features, interviews, the commentaries, the premieres. Like I would watch each premiere of the each season, and I was blown away. I just got sucked into an entire world of just passion and love, genuine love for the show. Enjoyment, just, man, sucked right in, even to storylines that I thought could have been done better. I've always criticized the Tyree's death. I've always felt like it should have been a barrage of walkers that took him down, like the beast of a man who was taken down. You can keep everything the same pretty much except for the bite. The bite I always felt should have came from just an epic beast mode scene, and the whole idea was the exhaustion is what really got to him, you know? But watching what they did was beautiful still, even though I criticized it before saying, oh, I wish they could have done this better with Tyrese. You can sit back afterwards. Now, there's still flaws that I consider flaws, like Digital Blood. It always looks bad. I mean, in 10 years from now, it's really going to look bad. I mean, that's something we just have to accept. There's visual effects that in 10 years from now, you know, will look bad, but still they look cool. It's cool that they were able to do them, yada, yada, yada. But admitting that you can clearly see the blood, the cuts of the heads, you can clearly see a distinct difference between what's practical and what's an effect, admitting that is not bad. I don't know why this is such a thing where we're like, well, let's not talk about the things that might not be perfect. Why not? I listened to a commentary where Greg Nicotero didn't have any problems whatsoever being like, yep, I failed putting the dirt on the bag, so when Rick is pulling the bag out of Terminus, this is a bag that was buried in the ground, and when he's pulling the guns out of it, the bag is actually clean. That was a clear mistake. He didn't have any problems pointing it out in the commentary. Do you know why? Because even shining a light on some of the flaws that are in this show, it's not going to take it down a peg and not make it a great show. It's a great show because it's enjoyable. It's not a great show because it's made to perfection. So pointing out the flaws or what you don't like as a fan, and everything we don't like, it's all different. Pointing those out is not going to hurt the show. It blows my mind that some people can't just go, oh, well, there's fans who like this kind of entertainment, fans who don't like this storyline, fans who don't like these characters, fans who love these characters, but we can't talk about it because if you don't love everything blindly, you know, it's a problem. It's problematic. I don't get it. So anyway, I wanted to talk about what I love with The Walking Dead. So I went back and watching all these commentaries, special features, and I realized I can't make that video. I simply can't. Not only did I realize I can't because I couldn't fit it in a video that's not less than a couple hours. It would take hours to make a video like that about everything I love with The Walking Dead, unless I just breezed over it. Like the story, the characters, you know, the flow, yada, yada, yada. And yes, there's problems all throughout with different things. There's problems with different fans. But the stuff I love about the show just exceeds the stuff I don't like about the show by a million times. You know what I'm saying? And it sucked me back in where I finally had to say, last night I put an extra 2 episodes on, and I finally had to say, okay, listen, I'm behind on work. I have this other stuff to do. I have so much other shit I need to do. And I got sucked back in where the DVDs, the Blu-rays were screaming, watch me. Even the storylines that you watched and you might not have been in the mood for that tidbit. Now that you watch them, and I encourage you, go back, watch them on Netflix, watch your Blu-rays, watch your DVDs. The storylines that you might not have liked before, don't skip them. Watch them anyway. If it was the Beth storyline, if it was the Tyrese storyline, if it was this or this or this, go back and watch them. I remember standing up for Them. If I remember this correctly, Them was 2 episodes before they made it to Alexandria, but the episode where they introduce Aaron at the very end of the episode. And I remember being disappointed because the trailer made me really expect some kind of epic nighttime leading the walkers away from the barn during a storm. I was picturing something that was going to be gorgeous and epic and yada yada yada. Putting that aside, and I still stood up for it, but I think I criticized that one thing. Watching that episode last night, without worrying about expectations or anything else, just sucking up what was happening with the characters, with the story, with everything. That episode hit me in the gut more so than it did the night it aired. I mean, in all honesty, because my expectations were set in such a different place. Now, yes, you're not going to go back and rewatch everything and be like, oh, I completely hated this episode when it aired, but I love it now. No, that's not going to happen. There's still episodes where I go back and I watch and I'm like, okay, this feels a little empty. It feels a little filler. I don't think we needed to see this and yada, yada, yada. But there's some special features that I will also encourage you to go watch. Season 7 is going to come on in just 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. And I highly encourage you to go back and watch Season 5 and Season 6. If, at the very least, you can watch those. Watch them, watch some of the audio commentaries, watch some of the special features, and some of the behind the scenes on them making this on their passion, both the actors, the cast, the crew, everyone, writers, producers, because there's some commentary on there where I fell in love with Greg Nicotero all over again, Scott Gimple all over again. I did not realize how much the stuff I talked about liking was the same. And I think that is a huge reason on why I love the hell out of this show. Like Scott Gimple, Greg Nicotero was talking about how Scott, and you guys who watch my comic videos, you'll know this. Greg Nicotero was talking about how Scott Gimple likes the reflections, the reflective imagery, and I thought that was just hilarious because when I made the comic videos, I would always talk about that being my favorite aspect on the covers. The very first issue of The Walking Dead had the walkers reflected in the glass, the broken glass. They weren't even on the cover. I thought it was genius, the whole design of that cover. And then after, there's an eyeball of a walker, and there's the reflection of Rick Grimes, as if we're seeing his reflection in the walker's eye as he's going at his back, about to attack him, stuff like that. There's reflection in the blood on the side of one walker's mouth that has a picture of the characters in the reflection going like, I think there's Tyrese, Andrea. All this stuff is in the comic. There's a ton of different reflections on the covers, and I love it. And I'm so thrilled when they bring that to the screen in different ways. Some ways I didn't even catch. But then Greg Nicotero was talking about always wanting to have zombies. Now, I know they can't do this with human characters because obviously, yes, they'll want to talk and interact. But the zombies, always having some walkers out there, even if they don't play a part in the story, I think that is crucial because that's one of my cons with certain parts of the show. Now, okay, they don't have to be there all the time, but as much as possible. When Morgan is walking away looking for Carol on the horse, when he leaves the library on the horse, I should say, you see walkers scattered, like here, here, and here. And that's beautiful, and we should see that almost all the time. It makes this world feel full of danger, full of the dead, and not so empty. When it feels empty and bare, it feels like, okay, well, obviously they don't have the budget or the time to put walkers or people in this story. And then when you got characters that are going from A to B, and they don't see or interact with anything that's happening, this show should feel, the show in the comics should feel like it's existing in a world that's alive, that's full of stuff. You know, you should be crossing paths with different walkers and people and survivors. And the show does do that. Like when Gabriel went outside of Alexandria to kill himself, essentially. And we didn't pick up on this, and I got videos coming that we're going to take a look at all the finer points in the show, but he goes out to kill himself, and he sees a walker turn around, and the walker has a noose. He kills the walker, and then he sees a victim laying on the ground. But that's just something I love. And when I heard Greg Nicotero saying all the shit he's talking about in the commentaries, him, and I think Scott Gimple was on a few, and I think it was Denise, the one of the producers. I think it was Denise and Gil Ann Hurd. Those four, when I heard some of the things they were saying on the commentaries, I found myself a lot of the time saying, yes, I love it. Your mind is in the right place as far as my opinion, as a fan of the show. I was loving everything they had to say about why they made the choices they made, why they do this, why they do that, what they like, what they don't like, what do they want to see. I mean, all of them are saying fantastic stuff. So I feel like the show is in good hands, and I feel like, especially us that are active online, that talk about the show, that go over predictions, go over every single trailer, teaser, promo image, we get expectations that definitely sabotages, to a degree, our enjoyment for the show, for each episode. Now, we might get that sneaker episode, that sleeper episode where we're like, oh, it's going to be about this, and I'm going to whatever, and all of a sudden it happens, and we are like, holy shit. I got that feeling with the Season 5 finale. It still ranks today as one of my all-time favorite finales. I'm going to go back and do a video on all the finales and all the premieres, and we're doing that soon with the Season 7 premiere after that airs. But the Season 5 finale, I remember a majority of the fans going, oh, there's nothing big happening, oh, it's just Rick giving a speech. And I was so moved. I was like, that it wasn't just a speech. That was the most epic speech of all time, you dumbasses, to the ones that were shitting on it, not to all the fans. But it's funny how we get it in Season 5. It ends on a speech. It ends on an epic note with a chilling cliffhanger with the wolves realizing, Alexandria, the discovery of that. And it was, oh my God, it gave us conclusions, but cliffhangers at the same time. And I know a lot of fans were speaking out about that, and it's funny, and this is coming from a guy who criticizes the Season 6 cliffhanger, but I don't criticize it because it's a cliffhanger, and you guys know this by now. But then we get fans during Season 6 who go nuts because they left us on, a wild cliffhanger, a singular boom, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to the previous season where they went nuts, where it was just a simple cliffhanger. The wolves didn't attack, there wasn't this big to-do, da-da-da-da. I don't know, there's something so special about the ending of Season 5 that, man, even to this day, when I hear that speech where Rick's like, I was wondering, or I was thinking about, how many of you do I gotta kill to save your lives? I mean, damn. And seeing him dealing with the conflict, the internal conflict about being more like Carol and lying, and being a little bit more like Michonne maybe in a way, and just being honest, being transparent, seeing him interact with Glenn to a degree, Daryl to a degree, and Michonne to a bigger degree later, and being like, you know what, I don't want to lie anymore, I'm going to be honest. And he does. He throws a zombie in the middle of the fire, and he's honest as fuck, So my recommendations for Is The Walking Dead Worth Watching Again? That's a hell yes. And I'm begging you, those out there who may have watched certain parts of The Walking Dead and you're like, oh, I don't like this Tyrese scene, I don't like what they did in Season 5, or I don't like this, or Hunters die too soon, go back and just watch it for what it is and absorb it and see if at the very least you can't enjoy it just a little bit more, knowing without any expectations, because maybe it's just me, but my passion, it was like a whole new fire was lit under my ass for the show, like passion, excitement. I am so damn excited for Season 7. I'm thrilled. That plus we got that sneak peek that was just like, oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I mean, I'm loving it. So give me your thoughts and opinions. If you went back and recently watched anything from The Walking Dead Season 1 to 6, anything at all, special features, commentaries, I mean, anything, and it's something you want to discuss, something you love, something that was just I don't know, any different story too. Like for me, that shit, after being burnt out by the whole, who died, because this is a prediction we've been making for well over a year and a half now. I just didn't care about season 7. I just wanted the death to be over with. Let's move past it. I've been in that rut for months now. But going back and rewatching some of the finales and some of the episodes from the previous seasons, I have never been more excited to start a season than I am right now. I'm through the roof. So, thoughts and opinions down in that comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn. Subscribe now.